OpenAI just went from "we're building AGI" to "we need ads to pay the bills." And that happened in less than 2 years.
Wait, are you saying ChatGPT is getting advertisements? Like actual ads? So we're covering what triggered this pivot, what the ads will look like, and how this changes the AI landscape?
By minute 4, you'll know why every AI startup should be terrified. Let's get into it.
Welcome to the AI Daily Podcast, today's news and a deep dive to help you stay ahead in AI.
Today, we're diving into OpenAI went from AGI to ads real fast, and that tells us a lot.
Stick around to the end for this week's headlines. Let's dive right in.
So let's talk about OpenAI's pivot to advertising, because this isn't just another tech company adding ads to their product. This is a company that literally started with the mission of building AGI for the benefit of all humanity, and now they're talking about serving ads in ChatGPT. The speed of this transformation tells us something profound about where AI is heading.
Yeah, I've been watching this unfold. It feels like we went from "we're building the most important technology in human history" to "here's a banner ad for mattresses" in what, 3 years?
Less than that if you count from ChatGPT's public launch. We're talking about a company that raised billions specifically to avoid this kind of commercial pressure. Sam Altman himself said back in 2019 that they created the for-profit subsidiary to raise capital while maintaining their mission focus. The whole structure was designed to resist exactly this kind of shift.
But here's what I don't get. They have Microsoft backing them with $10 billion. They're charging $20 a month for ChatGPT Plus. Why ads? Why now?
Because the economics of AI are brutal in ways most people don't realize. Let me put this in perspective. Every time someone asks ChatGPT a question, it costs OpenAI money. Not theoretical money, actual compute costs. We're talking about models with hundreds of billions of parameters running on specialized hardware. Industry estimates suggest each query costs somewhere between half a cent to 2 cents, depending on the complexity.
Wait, so if they have 100 million active users...
Exactly. Even if each user only asks 10 questions a day, you're looking at 1 billion queries daily. At a penny per query, that's $10 million a day just in compute costs. $3.6 billion annually. And that's before you factor in research, development, staff, infrastructure.
That's insane. No wonder they're looking at ads.
But here's where it gets really interesting. This isn't just about OpenAI needing money. This is about the entire AI industry hitting a wall between ambition and economics. Remember, OpenAI isn't the only one burning cash. Anthropic is reportedly spending similar amounts. Google's pouring billions into Gemini. Meta's giving away llama models for free while spending tens of billions on infrastructure.
So this is bigger than just one company's business model problem.
Way bigger. What we're witnessing is the collision between the dream of AGI and the reality of capitalism. OpenAI's shift to ads isn't just a business decision. It's a signal that the entire AI industry might be fundamentally unsustainable without radical changes to how we fund and deploy these systems.
And the timing is suspicious too. This comes right after their board crisis, right after Ilya Sutskever left, right after a bunch of safety researchers jumped ship to Anthropic.
Exactly. The internal dynamics here are fascinating. You had essentially 2 factions within OpenAI, the accelerationists who wanted to push toward AGI as fast as possible, and the safety-first crowd who wanted to slow down and be careful. When you look at who won that battle and then see ads appearing months later, it paints a pretty clear picture.
So we're trading safety for revenue.
That's the multi-billion-dollar question. Coming up, we'll dig into exactly how advertising changes the incentive structure of AI development and what this means for the future of AGI. Because once you understand the mechanics of how ads work in AI systems, you'll see why this is such a fundamental shift. So let's break down what advertising in AI actually means, because it's not as simple as slapping some banner ads on a chat interface. The real implications go much deeper.
Right, because with traditional web advertising, you're showing ads based on what content people are viewing. But with ChatGPT, the content is the conversation itself.
Exactly, and that's where things get ethically murky fast. Think about it. ChatGPT knows everything you've ever asked it. Your coding problems, your health questions, your relationship advice, your business strategies. That's an advertiser's dream dataset.
Oh man, I hadn't thought about that. So they could theoretically serve ads based on the actual content of your conversations?
They could, though OpenAI claims they won't. But here's the thing. Even if they stick to that promise, the mere presence of advertising changes the fundamental dynamics. Let me give you a concrete example. Say you ask ChatGPT for restaurant recommendations. Without ads, it might give you the 5 best-rated places based on some objective criteria. With ads, suddenly there's an incentive to recommend the restaurants that pay for placement.
But wouldn't that destroy trust in the product?
You'd think so, but look at Google. 20 years ago, their search results were purely algorithmic. Now, the first 4 or 5 results are often ads, and most people can't even tell the difference anymore. The creep is gradual.
What about the technical implementation? How do you even integrate advertising into a large language model?
That's where it gets really interesting from an engineering perspective. There are basically 3 approaches they could take. First, the overlay approach. Just put traditional display ads around the chat interface. That's the simplest but least effective. Second, the injection approach. Actually modify the model's responses to include sponsored content. That's more lucrative but way more problematic. Third, the hybrid approach. Use the conversation context to inform ad selection, but keep the ads visually separate.
The injection approach sounds dangerous. You're literally training the model to be biased toward advertisers.
Exactly. And here's a technical detail most people miss. These models aren't deterministic. They're probabilistic. So even if OpenAI tries to implement safeguards, there's always a chance the model could start naturally favoring responses that align with advertiser interests, especially if those responses get higher engagement.
How would that even work in practice?
Let's say Salesforce is a major advertiser. Over time, when people ask about CRM solutions, the model might start giving responses that subtly favor Salesforce's approach to CRM, not because it's programmed to, but because those responses correlate with higher ad revenue. It's like a digital version of regulatory capture.
That's terrifying. We're talking about one of the most influential information sources in the world, potentially being shaped by advertising dollars.
And it gets worse when you consider the scale. OpenAI reported that ChatGPT has over 200 million weekly active users. That's more than the population of most countries. If those users are getting subtly biased information, we're talking about a massive shift in global information flow.
But couldn't the same argument be made about subscription models? They also create incentives to keep users engaged.
True, but there's a key difference. Subscription models incentivize creating value for the user. You want them to keep paying. Advertising models incentivize creating value for the advertiser. You want them to keep paying. It's a fundamental misalignment of interests.
What about the competitive landscape? How does this change things for other AI companies?
It potentially triggers an arms race to the bottom. If OpenAI can subsidize free ChatGPT usage with ads, suddenly Anthropic and others need to match that or risk losing market share. But Anthropic specifically positioned itself as the safety-conscious alternative. How do they compete with free while maintaining their principles?
Could this actually accelerate open source AI development if the commercial players are all compromised by advertising?
Now you're thinking strategically. Meta's already shown you can give away powerful models and still benefit through ecosystem effects. If users start distrusting commercial AI because of advertising influence, open source alternatives become much more attractive. But then you hit the compute cost problem again. Who pays for inference at scale?
It feels like we're stuck between bad options.
That's exactly right. Stick around, because in our final segment, we'll talk about what this means practically, both for the future of AI and for how we as users should adapt our strategies. So where does this leave us? Let's talk about what you should actually do with this information, because the implications go beyond just being annoyed by ads.
Yeah, I'm already rethinking how I use ChatGPT for sensitive business information.
Smart. Here's my first practical recommendation. Start treating AI assistants like you treat social media platforms. Assume everything you type could eventually be used for targeting, even if they promise it won't be. That means being strategic about what you share.
So maybe use the free tier for general questions, but keep sensitive stuff on the paid tier?
Even better, diversify your AI usage. Use ChatGPT for some things, Claude for others. Maybe run local models for truly sensitive work. Don't put all your eggs in one basket, especially a basket that might soon be optimizing for advertiser value.
What about from a business perspective, if I'm building products that integrate with these APIs?
That's where it gets really tricky. You need to start thinking about platform risk differently. It's not just about API availability or pricing anymore. It's about whether the underlying model might start giving responses that favor certain companies or viewpoints. I'd recommend building abstraction layers that let you switch between different AI providers easily.
Almost like how we build cloud-agnostic architectures.
Exactly. AI agnostic architecture is going to become just as important. And here's another consideration. Start documenting model behavior now. Keep logs of standard queries so you can detect if behavior shifts over time. Think of it as regression testing for AI bias.
What about the bigger picture? Where does this trend leave in 5 years?
I see 3 possible futures. 1, we get an ad-supported AI ecosystem that looks like today's internet, free to use but compromised by commercial interests. 2, we see a backlash that drives users toward open source and local models, fragmenting the market. 3, and this is the optimistic case, we figure out new funding models that align AI development with user interests rather than advertiser interests.
What would even that look like?
Could be usage-based micropayments, could be government funding for AI as public infrastructure, could be cooperative ownership models. The point is, we need to start experimenting now, because the ad model is seductive in its simplicity, but dangerous in its implications.
It really does feel like we're at a crossroads.
We are. And here's the thing. OpenAI's pivot to ads isn't just about one company's business model. It's a canary in the coal mine for the entire AI industry. The economics of AI are forcing every player to make compromises, and advertising is just the most visible one.
So what's your key takeaway for our listeners?
Stay skeptical. The AI revolution is real, but it's entering a new phase where commercial pressures are starting to shape development in ways that might not align with user interests. Use these tools, but understand their incentives. Build with them, but maintain flexibility. And most importantly, start thinking about what kind of AI ecosystem you want to see in the world, because the decisions being made right now will shape the next decade of human-AI interaction.
Any final predictions?
Within 18 months, every major AI platform will have some form of advertising or commercial influence. The question isn't whether this happens, it's how we adapt to it. The companies that figure out how to maintain user trust while managing these commercial pressures will win. The ones that don't will become cautionary tales.
And for users and developers?
Remember that you have power here. Your choices about which platforms to use, how to architect your systems, and what behaviors to reward will collectively shape this industry. OpenAI's shift to advertising isn't the end of the story. It's the beginning of a new chapter where we all need to be more thoughtful about how AI gets funded, developed, and deployed.
It's going to be a wild ride.
It already is. The shift from AGI dreams to advertising reality happened faster than anyone expected. The next shift might happen even faster. Stay informed, stay flexible, and above all, stay critical. Because in the end, the AI future we get will be the one we collectively choose to build. There's a fascinating development with Claude Code that's been making waves on social media. A Twitter user discovered what they're calling a hidden swarms feature, though the details are still emerging through community discussion.
Swarms? That sounds intriguing. What exactly are people finding?
Well, the original tweet from Nicer in Person seems to have sparked quite a conversation, but we're still piecing together what this feature actually does. It appears to be something related to coordinating multiple AI agents or processes.
Interesting timing, especially with all the agent frameworks popping up lately. I'll be watching to see if Anthropic makes an official announcement about this.
Speaking of major announcements, TechCrunch is reporting that Apple plans to unveil a Gemini-powered version of Siri this February. This would be a significant shift, integrating Google's AI models directly into iOS.
That's huge if true. Apple's been playing catch-up in the AI assistant space, and partnering with Google's Gemini could give them the boost they need.
The report suggests this new Siri would have access to users' personal data and apps, making it much more capable than the current version. Apple's apparently trying to deliver on those AI promises they made earlier.
I wonder how they'll handle the privacy implications of that. Apple's always been big on privacy, but deeper AI integration usually means more data sharing.
Now here's something lighter, but equally revealing. Tom's Guide ran an experiment testing how ChatGPT, Gemini, and Claude handle completely absurd requests. They asked each AI to make a tater tot cheesecake.
Oh, I love these kinds of tests. What happened?
ChatGPT went ahead and created a detailed recipe without questioning it. Gemini also provided instructions, but at least acknowledged it was unusual. But Claude actually stopped and questioned whether this was really what the user wanted.
That's a perfect example of different safety approaches. Claude's being more cautious about potentially harmful or nonsensical requests, while the others are more eager to please.
It really highlights how these models have different personalities and boundaries built into them. That wraps up this week's news. That's our show for today.
If you found this valuable, please subscribe and share with a friend who'd appreciate it.
Drop us a comment with your thoughts on today's topic.
Links to everything we discussed are in the show notes.
Until next time.